It's the 10th of May, 2022. It's 9:18 in the morning, and I'm continuing my documentary of the treason and human rights abuses that I'm experiencing and the constitutional wrongdoings that are occurring against my good name, character, and reputation, not only since I just became a mother, but since 2006 as well. Effectively, my career as an educator has been affected by individuals responsible for offences against the state in this community. The matter of being a married mother in Tralee, County Kerry, Ireland, and having repeatedly experienced since becoming married mom in 2015, very serious, grievous offences that have not been compensated for, is quite important to address for women and children's rights. There are people in this community that are quite cheeky, that feel that they're in a position to bulldoze into people's lives, and they seem to assume that they are in a position to be pulling strings and to be spending time, effort and energy and my wealth, I might add as well, in this very dangerous offensive against my good name. Now, these people have been very spiritually vile in this community. They've been quite toxic with regard to faith. And as an avatar, I've a very, very clean track record. As a spiritual sentient being, I've a very, very clean track record. And these people have been of ASBO behaviour. They've been of disturbances in society, to evade and avoid and to obstruct what they have no entitlement or right to be accessing. Now, they have been quite overconsumed with my farm holdings that they certainly do not have rights to as of 2015. They are not in any entitlement to my child either. Now, my child is a missing person that I briefly met only recently. I don't know where he is living. I don't know where he came from. I don't know where he went to. I don't know where he sleeps. Now, since I became married, these people that have been bulldozing and barging and brazenly disrespecting faith and family, and that have been a part of very dirty spiritual practices in my marital home, this situation has been quite disgusting. These people have been of huge debt creation since damages to my name and since damages to my child. Now, my child, as I mentioned, was abducted by two plain-dressed male individuals claiming to be of the Garda Síochána that did not present identification, that did not present a supervision care order, a former supervision care order that would have been a prerequisite. There was no care order in place. The Tusla Child and Family Agency had no engagement of care orders with me as a parent, a legal guardian, and there was none presented on the night that my child was unlawfully separated from me. Neither did those two unidentified plain-dressed individuals explain their presence or reason for being in my proximity. As a royal, it's very serious that this has happened. The violation to my right to freedom occurred that night. Now, when I became married, the culprits of offences against the state have continuously abused their position and violated my right to freedom and are incessantly causing problems where they are making very unsafe issues in society. As an educator, as a married mom, as a Catholic, these individuals that are breaking all the commandments to offend me are embarrassing the state and the reputation of the democracy. These people are an embarrassment to the democracy. They have not respected the faith and family pillars of the democracy. They have not respected my royal heritage. They are an embarrassment. And they have been a very dangerous chit-chat. Their defamation has been publicised, their defamation has been heard, and they are walking into homes where they have no right to be. So I'm very curious about the mental health of these people. I'm a recovery advocate. I'm very concerned about the mental health issues, and I'm concerned about people that think subjugating my living standards to 280, I live on €208 a week in a cold one-bedroom apartment because people in Tralee, County Kerry are uncomfortable with my success. People in Tralee, County Kerry are uncomfortable with my success as a property owner, as a mother, as an educator, as a humanitarian, and as a royal. People in Tralee, County Kerry have caused the biggest shameful scandal to women and children's rights because of its collective agenda of hate crime against my good name. So I'm wondering what the United Nations has to say about this situation when the state has been benefiting from my work. What has the state to say about me living in a cold one-bedroom apartment with no hot running water and people on my farm holdings because there are bold individuals misbehaving and brazenly disrespecting the church and my child and my marriage that is still legally intact, regardless of the fraud that is still occurring in this county. This county has experienced exponential amount of fraud and it's still occurring. So I'm really curious who's still repeating the cycle of fraud from the southwest of Ireland and who's facilitating more fraud from the southwest of Ireland. Hedge funds are very dangerous initiatives for individuals that are stealing from my royal wealth and fortune. Hedge funds are not a good initiative to be supporting again and again and again. I'm so concerned what the President and the Taoiseach has to say about my living conditions and what the state owes my child and I. So 208 isn't a good enough salary for a qualified professional that holds a few very important titles. 208 isn't good enough. And people living on my farms and living off the wealth of my farms. My farms are very expensive property. And I think it's quite cheeky that any individuals would be brazen to continue offending my marriage and my matrimony, and especially after offending my beautiful child. My child has been quite offended by these ignorant individuals that have been disrespecting my nuptials as of 2015 and my property rights and my beautiful homestead in Tubbard Hill. I'm really concerned what people of women and children's rights feel about this dirty, dirty situation in the southwest of Ireland. There are no individuals in a representative position of my good name, character or reputation. There is no court setting or proceeding occurring without any cause or reason or consent. I have a very clean track record, so I'm wondering how safe the heritage of this country is. How does President D. Higgins feel about my O'Higgins bloodline being offended in County Kerry due to land grabbers and stubborn individuals that can't understand what property rights are and that fraud to property rights are quite dangerous, an offence to be conducting. It's all very serious, really. So any alteration to the property rights that are of my name since 2015 and my beautiful child, no care order from TUSLA, no emergency care order presented, an immaculately cared for child, a missing person, abducted because the community has a problem with my success. Do the United Nations have a concern about these kind of initiatives of hate crime and treason? This community has a very huge dirty debt to my good name, and it has caused a very huge dirty offence to other people's good names. So this community of a collective hate crime, treason, constitutional wrongdoings, it doesn't matter whether you're a doctor or not. If you're breaking the Hippocratic Oath, you have no right to repeat your offences. You have to address your offences. You have to repair your damages. Whether you're a lawyer or not, you have to live by the codes that you're trained in. There are people not living by the codes that they're supposed to be qualified in. I'm an educator. I know what I'm supposed to portray and practice and how to process. I'm a qualified professional, and I'm confronted with people that think living off my wealth while I live on €208 a week. I think that's feasible, is it? It's viable. It's a viable venture, is it? I'm very concerned how people think this is very safe, and it's anything but since it commenced in 2017. Does the Child and Family Agency comprehend where they have no remit with royalty? No remit with royalty means that you do not intrude when you feel like it and take when you feel like it. So there's an issue with housing in County Kerry. The accomplishments to my curriculum vitae are quite extensive. The exploitation from my good work and my purpose and my qualifications are quite extensive as well. So there are people not doing their jobs properly since 2017, and there are people on property that doesn't belong to them, and there are people discussing legal matters that aren't valid or in any way quantifiably approachable by any means or manner when it's royalty that is not, partaking in any facade or charade in this community of fraud that is yet again perpetuating a cycle that's quite dangerous. It's common knowledge. It's common knowledge throughout the world. So any individuals ignorant enough to be in my proximity that are of repeat offences against the democracy, I really hope the guards and the government are aware of what I've been tolerating and how I have helped benefit the progress of this country. As of 2018, 2019, there has been exploitation from my good work. So I hope the guards and the government are fully aware of what dangers have presented themselves in this society due to incompetent individuals not able to do their jobs properly, and the dangers of individuals in my proximity that have no right to be in my proximity, and the dangers of the state subjugating my living standards while individuals are on my beautiful ancestral farms in Ardfart, Tubertill and in Kilflynn. 208 is a little bit of an underpayment from the state. The state is short a few quid with regard to what I'm owed, and the individuals of fraudulence, financial fraudulence, these are all matters that are a huge concern. Financial agencies in Ireland that have been of financial fraud with regard to this matter, that's also an issue that, I hope the United Nations is aware of how I've had to conduct my work in saving health and wealth in recovery as well. The recovery aspect of my advocacy work has been a part of that also. So I hope the humanitarians throughout the world, not the humanitarians in Ireland that are tired of hearing from me. I've been waiting 5.5 years for the state to fulfil its obligations to the Constitution and to my royal heritage. But the humanitarians throughout the world, I really hope that you're all aware of my work in this community and abroad, and the health and wealth recovery aspect and the damages to my bodily anatomy and my sacred light, and the Child and Family Agency that have withheld my child illegally from me, and the individuals on my properties that are not legally entitled to even be discussing or entering or accessing. It's trespass that's prosecuted. I have not consented to people on my farms, and the Child and Family Agency have no right to my child. So these are all problems that I'm contending with. So the other matter of poverty, because the community is uncomfortable with my success, that's another little issue. So I hope the guards and the government have their morals, codes and ethics on the right side of the law. It's quite dangerous what my little boy has experienced. and I'm a private royal. I'm of a clean track record, and there are illegal conducts, incidents occurring with regard to more fraud in this community that isn't making society safe. So that's my update for today. I'll be continuing with regard to the human rights violations, experience, share, and whatnot on Twitter as well. There are people exacerbating, and there are people in my proximity that have no right to be, that are of debt evasion and debt avoidance and debt creation, and they're on the wrong side of the law, and that's unfortunate. It's a democracy. It's 2022, so there's some people quite cheeky, and that aren't working with common sense, and that aren't working with common courtesy, and are a bit cheeky with any alteration to the facts regarding my child and my property. So I'll make it very clear again. There are no legal procedures possible with regard to this entire situation, from a humanitarian context, from a constitutional context, and for the very simple fact that there is no basis or premise for these people to be convoluting any more stories that aren't based in reality. There are some people a little bit fanciful with their falsehoods that is quite offensive and dangerous to society, as I've already stated. There is no right for the Child and Family Agency to be interfering with my child's upbringing. My child is a missing person, and that's a very dangerous issue. So I really hope President D. Higgins and the guards in the government are aware that since 5.5 years ago, I've been bringing this to their attention, and it's not making this easier to avoid. It's only getting worse. Every day that my child is without me, every day that my child is crying without my arms around him to care for him, every day that people have been spending my wealth and walking on my farms, every day that these offences have been occurring are offences against the state.